Hello, welcome to Romance Book Monsters. I am Kitty Boom, and this is my co-host Lollipop. How are you doing today?
I am doing good. Weather's warming up. Things is getting lively. Days is getting longer.
I know, right? More and more books are coming out. I so can't wait.
You know it.
So today's theme is our favorite Mafia book for this month. How'd you work out with that one?
Man, it made me realize that I have not read a Mafia book in a while. It was a struggle. So I had to go back. Because I was looking for something more recent. 2020, even 2019. Nah, I had to go back a little bit further than that.
Right.
Actually, one of them is from early 2020. So I feel that's pretty good. My second book is a little bit older than that, but I'm pleased with my choices. Definitely enjoyed both of my books.
Okay, the first one I'm gonna review is Becoming His by Amy Van. Um, Such a big, like a surprise mafia book. So the main characters are Derek and Stelina. They meet at this nightclub. Like she's a chef, and unbeknownst to her, he's like the head of a crime family. And she sees this group of guys. They're in the VIP section, and her and her girls, they go over there, and he's sitting there all brooding with shades on in the nightclub and just looking all stoic. He's not a smiler or a talker. He's just there. So she bumps into him and she starts talking to him and she gets him to start laughing. And his crew is like shocked that, oh my gosh, his face moves that way. So, they eventually go out and, she has him acting like he's not used to acting. He's spending the night in the bed with her. He's going out on dates with her. Like he's surprising himself with this new boyfriend that he's becoming. So eventually, he has to tell her that he's in this crime family because they get shot at. And he has to explain to her, why are all these people shooting at us in this parking lot? So, he explains to her, what he's doing. And, at this point, like, she's like, has fallen for him like so fast that, she goes with it. So, him and his brothers, they go off on this, like, I feel like it was like some type of drug buying excursion. Boy, do these romance novels, they'll make you fall for the bad guy and make you think it's okay.
You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. That's how I felt on my second book. In my book, I was like, ooh, child.
He's bad, but he's savable.
Savable. He don't need to be savable. He just needs to be there for me.
So there are four brothers, and they are known as the Kings. They have like this little card tattoo on each of them, and each is like the king of something. So he's the oldest brother, and his other two brothers, they go off on this expedition and they're like double crossed. So they find themselves like in the middle of nowhere, like South America somewhere, like running for their lives in the bush. And it's only their youngest brother who's like, he's like the soft one of the bunch. He's interested in music and being a musician. And so they're like worried about, oh my gosh, they're going to kill him back at home. But unbeknownst to them, like Stelina, like she has like stepped into the role as head enforcer. So she's gonna be the enforcer for the younger brother, and she gets everybody together. Like they're all scared of her. They're all scared of her. Somebody stole from the family while the brothers were missing, and she like went out and brought a crocodile and took him out to the lake. And she was like, "You dare steal from us?" And she had the crocodile like bite the dude's hand off, and she was like, "This is what happens when you steal from us." But she made it look like the younger brother was the one doing it to like shore up his power and like make people like afraid of him. Oh, she was a bad one. She goes and she takes this cake to another crime boss to like set up a meeting, and the guard won't let her pass. And he insults the younger king. And so what she does is she backs up and she knocks him out with something. And then she rolls over his hand with her truck. And then she feeds his fingers to him. Well, she sticks his fingers in his mouth and they have to sew them back on later. But man, Rasheen, she was a bad girl. So the brothers, they come back, they make it out of South America, and they come back, and they're so surprised to see that the younger brother has like held everything down. And they're like, no, boss, Stelina helped them out. Stelina, and they're like, we did a background on her. She's just a chef, a young chef. She was like 23, 25 years old at this time. And they're like, how is she doing all this? And apparently they record everything. So they're going and they're looking back at all the work she's been doing since she's been like in charge. And they're like, wow. They're like, even collections are doing really good. So, I mean, if you want to see a good girl become a bad girl in charge, Becoming His is the book to read.
I love it. I love it. So she's with the older brother or the younger brother?
The older brother, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And how much of the book were they gone for?
They were gone for like 2 months.
Okay, so not too terrible.
I mean, but in the mafia world, it was like, people want their territory. People want their businesses. So they had to make it seem like, they were just like on this vacation and that they were not missing. And
right. That sounds good. I'm ready for it. You might have to read that one. I might have to add it to my list. So my first book.
I forget, like the second, like her man has a twin and he has a young daughter who doesn't have a mother. So she was taking care of the young daughter too. So in between reading bedtime stories and feeding people to crocodiles, she held it together.
She's like, I'm gonna be bad. I'm gonna be bad, but in a good way for my man.
Now, of course, as a stupid man, he cannot appreciate her powers when he got back, and he was getting jealous that she's becoming too powerful, more than us. So he screwed up, and he had to get her back after that. But,
don't they always though?
Right. Just like you should be appreciative that your empire is still here, but no.
Right? Exactly. So my first book is The Irishman by V.V. And I love this book. Picture this. We got Andrew, right? He's Irish. So this is a mob story. Mob, mafia, same type of people. So he's in a mob. Mm-hmm. He's 6'6", built. Ginger, full beard. And he is, listen, I'm going to tell you this here. He is, warning. This is considered a little bit of a dark romance, I guess you can call it. A little bit of rough sex going on in this. So I'm just giving you the warnings from ahead. Now, nothing crazy. Light BDSM. But let me tell you. So he owns a bar. So they're a pub. It's called a pub. And he's in his pub chilling or whatever. He looks over at this girl. He sees Kira. And Kira's there at the bar, she's just chilling. And he's looking, he's like, man, she fine. She real fine. But he's like, but I'm not going to get involved with that. My favorite quote of his in the book, he's like, women like her get men like me killed. So I'm going to leave her alone. But then he see this little scrawny, whatever dude come up to her. And he's like, oh, hell no. So he walks up, gets between them, turns to her, and asks her what she would like to try. Because he was like, oh, no, this is not what we gonna do here. Because he was like, he was not gonna do nothing. But when he saw somebody else step to her, he's like, hell no, she is mine. Who told you? How dare you?
Change his mind real quick.
How dare you? So he's the head of their mafia, or mob, I should say. And he has several brothers and an adopted sister. I love this book. So Kira now, you think that, you know, she is cool and calm and collected. She's real sexy. She's very smart. But come to find out, old girl run her own stuff too. She has an undercover women's group that she kind of inherited leadership from her grandmother, that these women basically run the world, right? So they do stuff on the DL. So it's like women of all creed, of all political stances, of all races, ages, etc. In the Baltimore area, she running it. Like somebody, you know, abusing women, gone. Oh, and she has her own cleaners. Yes. Oh, because something happened and he ended up killing somebody. And she was like, and he was trying to contact his cleaners and they wouldn't be in time. She's like, oh, don't worry. I already caught mine. He was like, well, he didn't even have time to call his yet. They were already showing up, cleaning up. Like, that's how this was going. Like, it was crazy. I love this book. Steamy. This book is steamy. So if you're ready for some steamy, good time, this is the book for you. For real. Because, like, whew, let me tell you. And then her crew, her main crew, is all gorgeous women too. So while all his brothers staring at her crew at the barbecue, the family meet and greet, she showed up. He had his family. She wasn't gonna go by herself, so she called her crew. They staring at her crew staring at them. I'm like, oh, I see the sequels already.
The future stories.
I see the future stories already, because it's about to go down. Let me tell you, The Irishman, sexy.
Good read. I just cracked it open.
I don't blame you. Good read. So what's your next book, Kitty?
My next book is Keeping Lily by Izzy Sweet. And this is our dark mafia romance. This is no, I dabble in the mafia, but I'm really just a sweetheart on the inside. I misunderstood. No, they killing everybody. This is the mafia.
And that's why I made sure to say The Irishman is a dark romance. This is not, neither one of these people are good people. Well, they have good moments, but they are still bad people because they will kill you in a minute.
So the characters are Lily and Lucifer. And, you know, and that's the difference between reality. If this was in real life and my girlfriend was going out with this dude, I'd be like, run. Like, we should go talk to the police.
Yo, I talk to the police. I'm not trying to die.
Romance novel is like, girl, go get him.
You ain't wrong.
But imagine this. You're married, you're at home, you're in bed asleep with your older husband, and your two kids are down the hall asleep in the bed. And suddenly your husband is pulled from his bed and he's being beat up on. Because why? He has borrowed money from the wrong person.
Always.
But then that person catches your eye and your husband agrees to loan you and your kids to him until he can figure out, yes.
And the kids? To be like a little family?
To be like a little family, yes.
Okay.
Loans him to Lucifer until he can figure out what to do about this debt that he has to the mafia. Now, you're talking about your book was steamy, and, you know, I feel like I should cover my face, but Lucifer was putting it down in the
girl. The Irishman, Andrew, put it on her on the table in his bar while it was open. And yes, his enforcers was around him at the table.
Let's just say Lily got pregnant real quick while she was under the borrowing of Lucifer.
So did Kira.
So Lucifer, you know, he whisked her away from her house and her husband, and he sets her up in his house. And just at first, you know, he has her under lock and key because, you know, she is just intent, of course, on getting away, because she's basically been kidnapped along with her children by the mafia because her husband owes all this money to these people.
Right, exactly.
So once they eventually I don't know, once they sleep together enough and he gets a little faith in her, he lets her, gives her some freedom to go shopping every day. And, he takes the little boy, she has a son, and the son takes to him and he sets the son up. The son is like 8 years old. And here's this big mafia boss. He sets up a little desk in his office for the son. And while he's working, the son is in there doing his homework and he's saying no girls allowed because him and daddy are doing work now.
That didn't take long.
Yes, I so hope the little boy gets a story later on. But yeah, it's no girls allowed. But of course, it's in romance novels. Even though she was kidnapped, they gonna fall in love and they gonna, ride it out into the sunset. But the husband has like joined with another faction, and he tries to get her and the kids back, and it just turns into a whole bloody mess. But I definitely recommend this series. And I mean, Izzy Sweet, I love Izzy Sweet. And sometimes, there's an Izzy Sweet and Sean Morite duo, they're husband and wife writers, and those are like just as good. It's crazy. Like, I love everything that they write. So definitely a good author to follow.
No, I might have to check them out because they're new to me, but I love a good new to me author. Because
and it's like such like diversity. Like over here, you have this dark romance line, and then she has this MMA fighter line that's really good, and they're all like genuine, like good guys. So it's like a big difference between one and the other. The murdering and the saving.
Nothing wrong with that. Got to switch it up. Got to switch it up. So my next book is The Russian Billionaire by Theodora Taylor. And I also love this book. I think this was the first book I've ever read by Theodora Taylor at the time. And so they are mafia, but he brings the family legal. He wants to legalize. So picture this. Alexei meets Eva. He's in the States because basically his father was gunned down by a young crime lord that was, he was a friend. He was not an enemy. So the guy killed his father to show that he's strong. So of course he killed the guy, right? And he was only 18. So they sent him, his uncle, Sergey, who was the head enforcer, sent him off to America to go to college. So he went to college, and while he was there, he's like, nah, we bring in the family legit. I've lost both my parents through all these crime wars and whatnot. So he decides to stay for grad school. And when he's there for grad school, he's working security for the School of Social Work, and he meets Ava. And Ava is a student at the School of Social Work. She is, she's raised wealthy. Like her dad's a mayor, owned the oil company or whatever that he sold or something like that. But he's been a town mayor forever. He's paying for her apartment. She don't pay no bills. All she got to do is go to school, whatever. So the father finds out that she's dating this Russian immigrant guy who's getting his MBA. It's not like, come on now, this is not an idiot. And her father was like, nah, see, you was all, because she's the different one in the family. Everybody else is pretty straight-laced. Her brother is in foreign affairs, so he works for the government overseas or whatever. And she meets Alexei, falls in love. So ends up, the father's like, you have to choose between him or us. She chose him. So she had to move out of her. She was like, I hope you love me because I'm moving in. Like, I ain't got a place to live. Like, I got out of her apartment, everything. Everything was great. They were in love. He was like, he ain't going back. He was not ready to go back or whatever. And then one day he leaves her there. She hates doing laundry. So she basically was like, you doing laundry and, get sexy time later. And he's like, but I was going to get sexy time anyway. And she's like, yeah, but I put on a mini skirt with sexy time. So anyway, come to find out, his uncle shows up with a translator. And basically the uncle says, if you don't leave and leave today, now while he's at work, I'll kill you and your family, basically. So she runs.
Right.
But that's when he had pictures. He was like, this is what our family does, because they had like a signature murder move. Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So they knew it was them that did it, but there was no evidence to prove that they did it. They had a signature move. And she was like, oh, and she's like, she was shook because this is not the Alexi she knows. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he's like, oh, that one there, Alexi did that one. She's like, what? Anyway, so she runs to a person she had met at a CPR class, a girl that she had met at a CPR class. Month later, finds out she was pregnant. Eventually, like 2 years later or something like that, her father lets her move back home. So she goes back home working as a social worker for the town that her father's the mayor of. So her father's her boss, basically. Because her mother was retiring because her mother had the job before.
Mm-hmm.
And so she moves there with her son. And now this is like 8 years later. The kid is like 8. And anyway, she's going to a friend's wedding. And who does she bump into? Alexi, who is now a billionaire, by the way, because he wasn't a billionaire when they met. Because he made all his money. He made his first millions in Russia. Like he went in and because he wanted to make the company legit. So he went in into metals and stuff like that and made the money and then moved to America. Because he didn't want to stay in Russia because his uncle was always like, oh, I have connections. And he saw her. It made him mad. He decided he was going to, get his little revenge or whatever. So he buys the oil company that basically everybody in town works for. Like 80% of the people in town work at the oil company. And he pulls it down. And then he decides that he's going to force her to come to him to beg for him not to shut down the oil company or whatever. So he's like, oh, well, you got to spend 2 weeks with me or whatever. And anyway, so they end up having to spend 2 weeks together. Her son is in Italy with her brother, his wife, and his twin girl. So he's spending time with his cousins for the summer. No, not Italy. Sorry, Paris. They're in Paris. And the brother's wife is Italian. And anyway, so she runs at some point during these 2 weeks. Because he's talking about love and she's still afraid of the uncle or whatever because she's thinking the uncle's going to come and whatever. So she runs to Paris to grab her kid. And she's telling her brother how, because the kid was supposed to fly home and she stopped him. They went. And the kid, so she runs. The brother, she's like, I need you to get us some fake ID. We need fake passports. Like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, what's going on? And the brother's like, what's going on? And she's like, and Alexi found out. And he's like, you never told him he had a kid? Like, she never, obviously not, because they don't know that she was threatened for her life and their lives at that. So anyway, so then Alexi shows up behind him. He's like, wait, what? But behind her, because obviously he has a private jet and she took commercial, there was even though she had a head start, still caught up because he had a private jet. And so, she sees the son and, whatever. And he's like, stop. He has his dad's eyes and stuff like that, even though he looks a lot like his mom. And anyway, come to find out, he eventually finds out about what the uncle did and stuff like that. So I don't want to ruin any of it to let, because in case you're really interested in the story, but I love this book. This book is great. I would wholeheartedly recommend. It had me in my feelings. Obviously I do love a secret baby. I love secret babies. So the fact that he found out about his son and, all this jazz, and it was, and there's some parts of it that there's some great tidbits and stuff like that. I highly recommend this book, and there, it's a series of books actually, because he has, the next book is in this series is about his cousin, who's a hockey player who he helped buy a hockey team, who happens to be Sergei's son.
Oh, okay.
So, really interesting. Love it. Highly recommend.
Okay. I had so many plans for today.
Kindle Unlimited too. Let me not forget to remind you, both my books are Kindle Unlimited. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, don't forget, make use of them.
Oh, both of my books are Kindle Unlimited too.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm definitely gonna be on top of both of those books. Possibly today. I must be productive first, though. Plan. That is the plan.
All right,
Well,
so
that is all that we have for you today. So we will definitely see you next week with our next review. Any words, Lolly?
don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, share, comment. What are your favorite Mafia books? As we always looking for new authors. New to me is a great thing. That's why we share who we love with you guys.
Okay, so we will definitely get back to you later. See ya.
Bye.